Okay, I'm actually gonna bend. I took the deck lid back off. So what we're doing is, because that one side broke, instead of bugging Mike, we have a ton going on at shop. He has a lot going on. We're busy. So I figured we're gonna keep this more DIY. And I actually went ahead and, you remember I put a bend on the end that was on this side. I went ahead and cut that off. So all that work I did with that bend, I went ahead and cut it off. So basically all I'm working with now is my deck of the wing is just flat. So I have cut the ends off. There's no more bends. And I ran to the metal yard and picked up, it's out there. Okay, it's right there. So I picked up that 90, and then the other piece is for the wicker bill. So what we're gonna do is rivet, we're gonna squish the 90 a little bit, turn it into like a 45. But we're gonna rivet the 90 on the edge. So that's gonna give us our edge like this, so we can bolt our spill panel to it. So that way, if you're doing it at your house, and everything, you don't have to worry about doing these bends. Maybe you don't have a bender, maybe you just wanted to freehand the ends, or something. So I'm gonna build it like that. And like I said, this is all, I make this up as I go and kind of change. So being we broke that end the way we bent it, I just wanted to go ahead and do that. So I'm putting a bend on the ends of these flats now, because if you remember, I think I showed you in another video, these flats kind of come like this, okay? So they were basically like up off of the panel like this, okay? So what we're doing is I'm just putting a bend right here off the trunk line down a little so that it matches more of the curve of this, and that's going to make it just, a little bit more. It's going to change the angle of the spill panels, the top, but I don't mind straightening them out a little bit more. But it's just going to make the wing look like it fits a little bit more to the car. So, and the cool thing about this is I do have some thoughts of replacing this deck with carbon fiber, and then not bending the ends, obviously, because it'd be carbon. So if I just buy a flat sheet of carbon, I could replace the deck lid with carbon for the wing, keep it flat, and then keep my spill panels out of aluminum because they're curved. That way I don't have to fabricate carbon fiber. I could just buy a flat sheet and use that. But this is just how we're going to do it. I improvise and change stuff as things happen, and so I don't have to worry about Mike welding that back on. It's just, and this is going to keep it equal on both sides too, where both sides are nice square 90s versus that one side had a little bit of a radius bend, and then if he welded that piece back on, that would have been a sharp 90. So I don't know. I like it like this. I also went ahead and cut this curve out of it where it meets up to the deck lid or the trunk lid, and I just had it up there a second ago, and it does not touch the trunk lid at all, which is pretty cool. And then I might do something like put some little foam between there. I did order the edge protector, so that might close the gap up enough where I don't have to worry about no air going under the wing, even though it shouldn't really matter that much, the minor gap, but I'm going to be picky with it. So I'm bending this backwards. So everything that I was bending the other week, I had the steel bar on this side, and then I told you on the spill plates it was easier to put your clamps on your smaller piece because you can clamp the centers and it doesn't bow. So originally I put the bar back on this side, and the way the garage is set up, I had it like that, and I was like, well, hold on, I wonder if you can put the clamps on the side with the handles. And so I just did that, and it bent perfectly fine. And I'm just putting a little bit bend, like I said, in these sides, so that they match the contour. But I'm gonna spin this thing around, bend the other side, and get it back on the car. I just wanted to show you that you can actually, I guess it don't matter which side you put your bar on for your bend. You can do it on this side. Okay, just kind of show you real fast. So there's with the bend in it. Okay, see what I'm talking about? So now it's more angled to match, the quarter. Okay, see? Now this goes over here like this. But you get it? So that looks a whole lot better. I mean, this thing is going to look way better like this, having this bend in it that comes straight off the trunk line. It's just going to look way more professional, like it matches the car. So we're starting to get there. We're going to get this thing together today, completely mocked up. Y'all about to see how this thing looks here in a few minutes. And last weekend I did bend my parachute mount to get the parachute right. I still think that it might have to be modified, but we're going to see. We're going to mock everything up here, today. right, so there's what we got. We got that one side mounted. And you know, in the style of the channel and the style of me, I changed stuff up. So I just told you, we had that 90-degree aluminum. Here's it smashed out. As you smash it out, it curves. It's hard to get every piece of this the same without having the proper tools. Now, I guess I could technically smash this out, or I flat and then put it in the bender and bend it back, or I could have took a piece of scrap, actually, if I would have thought about this, and cut a flat piece out and bend it into the angle I need. But the problem is you're continuously going back and forth to get that angle. I mean, you can measure that angle. Okay, you can measure that angle, but I think that both sides are going to be a touch different. So the answer to the problem, way easier, less weight, is let's use more of these. So all I do is take them, put them in the vise, okay, and you just squish them, and you just keep going back and forth, squishing them until you find the angle that you need and until it fits right. So then that's what you're left with, is they're just bolted up underneath there. I'll probably shim these with a washer or two on the final assembly, but you know, the end ones fit perfect. That center one, for some reason, just doesn't fit perfectly flat against it. But like I said, I'll probably put a washer behind there. It looks good going this way. Everything looks nice and good. Everything's nice and how I want it. You can see it flares out a little when you're looking down it, but this also is tucked in. You know, it has a little bit of a flare out right there. But I mean, I like that. I like a little bit of different curvature to it, and when you're bending this by hand, the smaller it gets, the harder it is to roll. So naturally, you're going to have more roll on this end than you are on this end. But I think that looks really good. So now that I have cut this 90 off and went with these brackets, of course that messes all this up a little bit, but it is still stupid close. So there's our mark from last weekend, and you can see our gap. We are a little tight down here, so we do need to trim a little bit more off of this, and then I think I need to take a little out of that because that is touching and I don't like that. So even though I'm gonna put probably edge protector on it, I still don't want a lot of pressure rubbing on it. So we're gonna take a little bit more out of this radius and take some off of this, and then this thing is looking great. So it's nice and sturdy. I mean, when you move it, it moves pretty much the whole deck lid up there, the whole trunk lid. So yeah, I've ordered the side braces. I don't think they're gonna be here this weekend, but I am gonna side brace this thing from here roughly up to, you know, these pieces, or from here kicking it up to here is what I measure to them brackets that we left bent in the other video. Thankfully, I left them bent, and I think that'll give it a freaking solid point. This right here has a little bit more flex. That's like an anchor. So that thing is perfect to go from here to there, and that will allow me to adjust these out a little bit. So yeah, actually probably instead of trimming it, I'll just have it where it just pokes out a little bit like that. You can see the light through it. So that way it still is really close, but it just looks stupid tight, which was amazing if you can get it looking stupid tight but not actually touching with pressure. So a little bit of touch don't matter, but I don't want a lot of pressure where it's digging into the paint all the time. And then the pieces that I bought are adjustable, the ones you screw, so you will literally be able to crank this spill plate in and out, you know, whatever you want, so as it needs adjustment. So I like things having adjustment, but I think that's turning out amazing. So I'm going to repeat everything on that side, all the brackets. The other plate actually has not even been bent yet because I never made it to this far the other weekend. So I have to put the bend in this, curve it. I mean, I have to do everything that we did in the other videos on the other side, so I'm not going to show you all that and bore y'all with that. When I pick back up, I will have that side mounted, and I'll probably have my wicker bill mounted, and then we'll show you how I did the wicker bill, and then it's pretty much going to be ready to take it apart, clean up all the edges, and get everything where it's looking good, and then get this thing back over to CRC to do some powder coating and probably do you know, some painting on this. So that way we can get this thing final assembled and put back together. So stay tuned. Okay, now what I'm gonna do to try to find the angle of this one to roughly, we're talking roughly now, match the angle of this one, because everything's bent, is we're gonna use an angle finder. All I've done is just put it on there, and you can tell that everything's not straight, but I've roughly got it right here where my thumb's at, roughly have that angle. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it on here, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So you can see that spacing looks about the same right here, between here. So that's going to be it. I'll take this out and go put it over there. And then if I need any final tweaks, you know, that will, I'll tweak it from there. But that will, an angle finder will get you close. That way, hopefully it'll save you so much back and forth. So for your wicker bill brackets, I'm using these and putting them on a 90. That way the wicker bill bolts through like that. And it's important whenever you set these to make sure you clamp it and use you a piece of scrap and make sure they're gonna sit flush, okay, up to the wicker bill. So you don't just eyeball it or go off of looks or your touch. Make sure you actually use a piece of scrap, lay it up there, clamp it first to where it sits flush, then drill that hole, put a bolt through that hole, take the clamp off, and then put a bolt through your second hole. That way it ends up looking like that. All right, that's where we are on the wing. Got the wicker bill put on the back of it, and that is 1/2 of an inch from the deck lid to the top of it. Got measured out. It drops a little bit more on the sides where it rolls down, but the inch from here to here is an inch, and then from here to here is a 1/2 of an inch on it. I am gonna round these corners off, radius corners, and I think I'm about to move it up so that the back is an inch, and then drill the holes. That way it's adjustable. And I might also go ahead and drop it down to where the back's 1/4 of an inch. So basically go ahead and have it where this thing is adjustable up and down if you want to go 1/4 inch, 1/2 an inch, or an inch in the back. So that way after it's painted, the holes are already drilled and everything's done. Got that side put on, got it all fit to the 1/4, got everything cut out. So yeah, make them holes in that thing, and then take this apart, and I might scallop out these pieces, put some scallops in them so that it don't look just so square, and then take this thing apart and get it to powder coat and paint. All right, so here's what we got tonight. We're gonna get these things prepped for paint, and then I'm gonna go over with y'all what to do to paint your pieces, and I'm not gonna bore y'all with them getting painted process. So I'm just gonna educate you on what to do. We're gonna prep them, and then I'll show you when everything's done how it looks. That way this video don't drag out longer than it already is, because I think we're going on our 4th part with this wing. And I know some people were wondering about painting. So we are adding Zeus's to the corner, because the wing like this, you know, even if I braced it where it was like this, it still had, you know, just not as strong. I mean, it's got the braces that are on the deck lid, but I figured adding a Zeus down here in the corner would just really stiffen this freaking thing up, man, really good. So I went ahead and drilled them at the last minute for Zeus's in the corners. That's going to be what it's going to be. Yeah, so we're going to Scotch-Brite these with soap and water, just like we do any other painted part. Make sure all of our edges are nice and smooth, and we don't have any sharp edges. This is our last chance to smooth everything out. I'm gonna go ahead and take the air tools and smooth everything out real fast, and then Scotch-Brite them with soap and water, and then we'll move on to the next step, and I'll tell you what. Go ahead and run over these with the sander, the flat stuff that's easy to get, just to really put a little bit more bite in the aluminum, probably with like 320, and then I'll Scotch-Brite over top of everything. I just really want to make sure I get a good bite to these and try to prevent these from chipping off in the future. Primer that you're going to use on your aluminum, okay, it is going to be this Omni MP170 epoxy primer. That's what I'm using. Now all you need to use is an epoxy primer. Basically epoxy primers bite into metal. They actually like bite into the metal, so it's best to put your epoxy on first, and then if you want a really slick job, spray your epoxy. Follow your instructions. Let's see here. You have to allow 15 minutes beforehand to before you can even spray it. So you need to mix it up, let it sit for 15 minutes, then you can spray it, okay? Now after you spray it, if you just do one coat of this epoxy, you have to wait 15 minutes. And then if you're going to do a second coat, you know, you'll do one coat, wait 15 minutes, spray your second coat, and then wait 30 minutes before you can start painting, before you can top coat. Okay? If you're going to just do one coat, spray your coat, wait 15 minutes, and then it's dry in 15 minutes. It shows right here dry times. This is between coats. This is dry times. So if you do one coat, it's dry in 15 minutes. That means you can spray over it. The epoxy primers must be scuffed and reapplied if allowed to sit more than 3 days. So you have a window when you spray this epoxy that you just have to get it painted or something over it within 3 days. If you want a slick job, spray your epoxy, then spray you a filler primer like we use in the other videos, you know, our high build primer. Block your high build primer out after it dries, of course, the next day. Block your high build primer out so you can spray your epoxy primer. 15 minutes later, you can spray your high build primer. Then let it dry overnight, your high build. Block your high build primer. Then paint on top of that. Okay, that's going to get you no orange peel. This stuff, painting straight over top of this epoxy primer, the epoxy leaves a ton of orange peel. Okay, I have never had epoxy primer lay out slick. Not this epoxy. If somebody knows something that will lay out slick right out the gun, then by all means let me know. Maybe I'm not putting this on wet enough, but you know, it's always orange peely. So again, you have your epoxy primer. It mixes 2 to 1. So on your mix cup, let's see here if I have one with some. You're gonna have your 2 to 1 column. Okay, so you'd come up to whatever number you want, and then you'd match it to your next column. Okay, that'd be 2 to 1. And like I said, I'm not gonna bore you with spraying this. And then you have your catalyst for your epoxy primer. So again, if you want it slick, you need to spray the epoxy, then spray a high build, block the high build slick, then paint on top of it. What I'm doing with this stuff is I'm painting right on top of it, creating a ton of orange peel, meaning more than likely I'm going to have to wet sand and buff all the orange peel out of the clear coat. Because I'm trying to basically do it really quick and not drag this thing out over 2 days or whatever. So I'm trying to bang it all out in one run whenever we go to spray this. So here's the nuts or the bolts that we ordered off of eBay. Like I said, I was going to get rid of these flathead bolts that I used to mock up, and I was going to switch to more professional Allen head. I think that would look better. So I'm going to try to get some of this started. As you can see, Harper is asleep. She's sacked out. Mama just left, and I'm on baby duty. So as soon as Harper wakes up, she'll start flipping out about me recording. So I'm gonna try to get some of this put together for y'all and show you what we got. So these are like 4mm, and I'll post a picture of what I paid for these off of eBay, because I figured it was cheaper to buy eBay than buy local on something like this. I went this morning though and got washers from the hardware store and nuts, nylon lock nuts. So when I was looking these up, I don't think the listing had the thread size on it. Maybe it did, I don't remember, but I didn't want to gamble it, and I just wanted to physically take one to the hardware store and match it up with a nut. I just feel better like that than to you know, to chance it over the internet and I mess something up. So I did get everything is in stainless, so that way I don't have rust. But I'm gonna get all this stuff put together and show y'all as we go. All right, so got our pieces on. I just wanted to show you real fast them on before we go and put everything else together. So that's what they look like. The powder coated pieces turned out good. Brackets are all back on, the little new bolts, using them. So I'm gonna get the top of the deck lid on and then get the rest of everything together. Harper, tell we're making some progress, right? So we got the deck bolted on. All right, we're gonna keep getting at it and get the sides on. This thing's starting to look freaking sick. Harper, how are we doing this morning? Break time. How do you think the panels are turning out? Pretty good. Give me a high five. Good job. I think we're doing all right. She thinks we're doing all right. Let's keep at it. So I just left the hardware store because I actually ran short on my screws. So I ordered the screws that we're installing are stainless Allen head bolts, And I figured that the hardware store would not have them, and if they did have them, it would not be cheaper than eBay. So I went ahead and ordered 50 of them off eBay. Well, I had no clue that this wing was going to take over 50 bolts. I did not count it out like I should have to plan for it, and I just ordered a quantity of 50. And I'm about, let's see here, 2, 4, 6, 8 bolts short. So, yeah, your local hardware store probably also does not have them. So I would definitely order your hardware off of eBay to the one that I post, you know, or something similar, because you're probably not gonna find a local hardware store. They have like black ones that are like that flat black. That's probably, you know, gonna rust. It's like a machine screw, but not what we need for this application. So I'm gonna have to put the rest of this together with back with the flathead bolts just to hold it together for right now. Put in another order on eBay, and then when they come in, swap everything over. All right, so there we go. We got all of our wing put together. I think it turned out absolutely amazing. Still need to do the Zeus tabs on the side. So I've got the buttons installed, but basically I need to come under here and put the tabs in. I ran short on a couple bolts, you know, so I had to put some flatheads in for right now. I've already ordered the correct ones. Surprisingly, man, y'all seen a video. I had this thing perfectly mocked up. Going back together, I had a fight with this thing. And I know I didn't really get anything mixed up, but stuff just changes from, you know, how you originally put it together to how it is when you put it back together. Stuff shifts and stuff is different. So definitely I'd put yours together loose and not tight, and then, you know, tighten it down, because I've definitely had a couple fitments issues that I've had to fight with. But there we go. What do you think, Harp? Good? Give me a high five. Good job. So that's it. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out, especially for only having, let's see here, we got $40 in the material. If you want to count the brake, that was $50, and then the hardware, we have maybe $30 in. So we have right around $100 total in this one for me with the brake. So if you don't include the brake, I only have about, with the hardware, I only have about 60. Yeah, about $60 in it, you know. And if you wanted to use flathead screws or something that you already had yourself, then you wouldn't even have to count that, and you'd only have, you know, about $40 in it, unless you want to count the paint, you know. But material alone to get started on this project was $40, you know. But I'm beyond happy with it. So all I got left now to do is get it where when it opens up, I figure out the mechanism to lock it. And there's all the powder coated brackets. I still got to clean off the bottom side with all the wax from wet sanding earlier, but all of the brackets turned out amazing with the powder coat. They look good. Everything looks good. So let me know what you think below for a home-built, garage-built wing. Let me know how you think it looks, and if you think there's anything else I should change. So like I said, I decided to go with the Zeus fasteners to add stability, even though this thing is solid. I mean, I can literally pick the deck lid, you know, the trunk up with this wing, and it is a strutless wing, meaning that you don't have struts that go from there to the bumper. So sorry if Harper's in the background making a lot of noise, but that's a wrap. Like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on the notifications. Thanks, y'all. That thing looks sick. So I like it. Y'all let me know what you think. Let me know if you think it looks like crap, or let me know if you think it looks good. So I think everything turned out pretty good, especially for a home-built wing built right here in this 2-car garage using a Harbor Freight 18-inch metal brake. So I'm very, very happy with it, very pleased with it. But I am curious on y'all's opinion, because I always, you know, y'all point out some good things. You can see where we did the bend on there, you know, all the body lines, the curves match pretty good. Everything looks freaking sick in my opinion. So